continues with Ronnie Richter of the Bland Richter Law Firm, and today certainly a battle of the experts in that courtroom. Ronnie, let's get right to it. There were a lot of really contentious moments today for anyone who was watching the trial. Alec Murdaugh's former law partner, Ronnie Crosby, saying, do you think Alex did it? What did you think about that moment, first of all?
I thought that was a crazy question for Dick to ask. You know, ironically, Dick was getting angry when he was asking Ronnie whether he was angry about Alex having stolen the money. And in that heated moment, he popped off at Ronnie and asked the question, do you think he did it? Now, you would never ask a question like that of a witness like that because he could have gotten the wrong answer. Now Ronnie's a gentleman. He's a very good lawyer. He gave the diplomatic answer that I don't know. I leave that to the jury. But a very dangerous moment in the trial.
A very seasoned lawyer, as you said, but do you think that he deliberately, do you think that that just happened in the heat of the moment, or was that something he planned to say to get a reaction out of Ronnie Crosby?
No, that was definitely heat of the moment. You would never ask a question like that of a witness like that without knowing the answer.
The pathologist, Dr. Ellen Reamer, certainly another contentious moment for actually hours on the stand with her saying that she in fact disputed the expert testimony. Do you think that jurors might have considered some of that as badgering the witness because it went on for so long? A
little bit. She presented herself as a very nice person, first and foremost. Now, an eminently qualified expert, no doubt about that. I would not have called her again. I thought she did a great job the first time around. I think the only thing that happened here is that the shine was taken off the penny a little bit. I do think the defense scored on her somewhat.
In what way?
Well, some of her explanation about the forensics was a little spotty. And she also conceded some points to the other team. So I thought she did a good job the first time. There's no need to call her back. And forensics for the state are terrible. So stay in your sweet spot, which is the lie about the kennels. Stay away from the forensics because it's not a very good part of your case.
Speaking of who was brought back, the state also brought back Dr. Kenneth Kinsey, who said that he witnessed doesn't seem to be a very credible witness.
Now, he's dynamite. So 100% that was the right call. He's a terrific witness, and he was multi-purpose. He said the defense's theory about a 5'2" shooter is ridiculous. He said the thought that Paul was shot from the back of the head when all the evidence shows that the force of the impact was in the opposite direction was crazy. So he touched a lot of bases for them, and he's a terrific witness. So that's the way you finish a rebuttal case, very strong with a great pro like that.
And they illustrated their points very well. This, of course, is the time when State Attorney General Alan Wilson was a part of the questioning. Why at this moment, Alan Wilson? Do you think that this was certainly deliberate on their part to save him as the closer?
I definitely do. That was a powerful statement in him participating in that last examination. Now, Creighton's going to do the closing argument. I'm confident of that. He's done the heavy lifting. He's got the institutional knowledge. But a powerful statement from our top attorney in the state to be there making that last examination.
What happens next in this process? We know that we have a trip that's planned to Moselle for those jurors.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Well, the fact that they are even going there.
If I were the defense team who asked for this, I never would have asked for this. So their request was because they wanted the jury to experience the spatial relationships there. And I think they want the jury to be impressed about how close it is between the kennels and the feed room and how far it is to the main house. I think the spatial relationship the jury's going to be struck with is just how remote it is. And the remoteness, I think, feeds the state case that it's all the more improbable that someone else just happened upon that property at that very moment in time and used family weapons to kill Paul and Maggie.
Yeah, so you think that there is a great risk with them going out there.
I do.
Also, the risk of them possibly looking into that kennel and trying to be investigators, I believe is what you've said.
Well, Judge Newman's going to set the ground rules, right? But if I'm Judge Newman, you don't get to go in the kennels, you don't get to go in the feed room, you're not going in the house. I don't want you to be investigators out there. You receive evidence from the stand. You're not there to gather evidence. You're there just for the purpose of experiencing those spatial relationships.
Let's talk about what will happen tomorrow, possibly after closing arguments from the state and the defense. We know that the judge will then charge the jury, and that is a process that can take a good bit of time.
It does take a while. It's probably going to be 45 minutes on the charge. There's a lot of law that the judge needs to convey to the jury. What is reasonable doubt? How do you determine it as a jury? How do you weigh evidence? How do you determine the credibility of witnesses? What are the technical requirements of the charges that have been brought by the state against Alex Murdaugh? So to get all of that out as a process, frankly, it wears on the lawyers and the jury to hear a charge like this.
Ronnie, we are near the end of this process. Right now, who do you believe is leading in terms of convincing the jury one way or the other?
Well, look, the state's case rests on whether or not the jury buys Alex's story about why he lied about not having been at the kennels. I mean, that is the centerpiece. I think the forensic evidence is weak. I think the motive is weak. I think there's more than enough reasonable doubt for the jury to acquit or hang. But if the jury believes that Alex lied about that most important matter for a reason, then they're going to convict.
All right, Ronnie Richter, we always appreciate your insight. Thank you.